Former England hooker and renowned provocateur Brian Moore has jokingly declared that he is ready to hand over his long-held reputation as rugby's ultimate wind-up merchant to rising star Henry Pollock. Moore, who built a career not only on his formidable scrummaging but also on his ability to unsettle opponents mentally, believes Pollock is rapidly becoming one of the most irritating and effective players for opposition teams to deal with. His comments come after the young forward's eye-catching performance for Northampton Saints during their recent victory over Castres Olympique in the Investec Champions Cup. A performance that turned heads. Northampton Saints' triumph at Franklin's Gardens secured their progression to the next stage of Europe's premier club competition, but beyond the result, it was Pollock's all-action display that captured attention. The young back rower was everywhere. In attack, he carried with aggression and intent, repeatedly testing the defensive line of Castres. In defense, he was equally influential, disrupting opposition ball and showcasing his ability at the breakdown, an area that often separates good forwards from great ones. Yet, while his technical contributions were impressive, it was something less tangible that truly defined his performance: his presence. Pollock has developed a knack for getting under the skin of opponents. Whether through relentless energy, subtle gamesmanship, or simply his competitive edge, he has become a player that rivals struggle to ignore. Against Castres, that trait was on full display, living rent-free in opponents' heads. Moore, writing in his column, could not resist drawing parallels between his own playing days and Pollock's emerging reputation. On a bright note, he wrote, "As a former multiple winner of the Winding Up the French award, I am happy to pass the mantle to Pollock." It was a tongue-in-cheek remark, but one grounded in genuine admiration. Moore understands better than most the value of psychological warfare in rugby, the subtle art of provoking opponents into losing focus. According to Moore, Pollock has already mastered that skill. He showed again last weekend that he is able to live rent-free in his Gallic opponents' heads. He added, "The phrase perfectly encapsulates Pollock's impact." Without necessarily engaging in overt confrontation, he manages to irritate opponents simply by being present, by competing fiercely at every breakdown, by refusing to back down, and by maintaining an intensity that can push others over the edge, provoking costly reactions. Pollock's influence was not just anecdotal, it had tangible consequences during the match. Several Castres players appeared to lose their composure when confronted with his relentless approach. The most notable incident involved Guillaume Ducat, who was shown a yellow card following an off-the-ball reaction. For Moore, this was a textbook example of effective gamesmanship. Without doing much more than existing, he managed to provoke several unprofessional responses. He noted, "This ability to draw penalties and disciplinary actions from opponents is a valuable asset. In tight contests, moments of ill discipline can shift momentum and ultimately decide outcomes." However, Moore was also quick to highlight the discipline required to execute such a strategy successfully. "I can tell him that the niggle-but-don't-hit-back strategy is painful, but it does work." He explained that it is a delicate balance. Push too far, and a player risks being penalized themselves. Maintain control, and the rewards can be significant. A villain in France. Pollock's growing reputation is not limited to a single match. In fact, he has already become something of a pantomime villain in France. During previous fixtures, he has been met with boos from opposition supporters, a clear indication that his presence is being felt beyond the pitch. For many players, such a reception might be intimidating. For Pollock, it appears to have the opposite effect. Being disliked by rival fans can often be a sign that a player is doing something right. It suggests influence, impact, and the ability to disrupt the opposition's rhythm. In rugby, as in many sports, not every great player is universally loved. A new chapter with Matchroom Sport. Pollock's rising profile has not gone unnoticed off the field either. Just days before his standout performance against Castres, he signed a deal with Matchroom Sport, the promotional powerhouse led by Barry Hearn and Eddie Hearn. The company is known for representing some of the biggest names in global sport, including figures from boxing, snooker, and darts. Their involvement in rugby union is relatively new, making Pollock's signing particularly significant. For English rugby, the move could signal a shift in how players are marketed and promoted. Matchroom's expertise lies in building stars, creating narratives, generating interest, and bringing athletes to a wider audience. If successful, their partnership with Pollock could help elevate rugby's profile in a crowded sports landscape. The challenge of marketing a rugby star. However, Moore has issued a word of caution: while acknowledging Matchroom's track record, he pointed out a fundamental difference between rugby and many of the sports in which the company has thrived. Identifying the shiniest stars is central to their operation, Moore wrote, referencing high-profile names like Ronnie O'Sullivan, Anthony Joshua, and Luke Littler. These athletes compete in individual sports, where success and failure rest largely on their own shoulders. Their achievements can be easily attributed to personal brilliance, making them ideal for star-driven promotion. Rugby, by contrast, is fundamentally different. There is a crucial difference, Moore explained. Pollock plays in one of the most interdependent team sports on earth. The nature of rugby union is built on collective effort. Every position has a role, and success depends on the cohesion of the entire team. While moments of individual brilliance can occur, a line break, a turnover, a decisive tackle, they are rarely enough to carry a team on their own. Anybody who knows rugby understands that every position matters, Moore said. Very rarely can one player carry a team whose component units underperform. This presents a challenge for marketers. How do you build a global star in a sport where individual contributions are inseparable from team performance? Stars within a system. Moore is not dismissing the idea that rugby players can become stars. Far from it, of course, there are stars in a team, he acknowledged, but he emphasized that those stars do not operate in isolation. They don't get there or stay there on their own. For Pollock, this means that his rise will depend not only on his own performances but also on the success of Northampton Saints and, potentially, the England national team. Consistency, team achievements, and visibility in major competitions will all play a role in shaping his public image. A unique opportunity. Despite the challenges, the partnership between Pollock and Matchroom represents an exciting opportunity. Rugby union has long grappled with how to expand its audience and compete with other major sports for attention. By adopting a more modern, personality-driven approach to promotion, there is potential to reach new fans. Pollock's style of play, energetic, confrontational, and engaging, makes him a natural candidate for this kind of exposure. His ability to generate reactions, both positive and negative, adds to his appeal. In an era where attention is currency, players who can spark conversation are invaluable. The balance between edge and discipline. As Pollock's profile grows, maintaining the right balance will be crucial. His wind-up merchant tendencies are part of what makes him effective, but they must be carefully managed to avoid crossing the line. Discipline, both on and off the field, will be key to sustaining his success. Moore's advice about the niggle-but-don't-hit-back approach highlights this balance. It is about pushing boundaries without overstepping them, about influencing the game without incurring penalties. Conclusion: a star in the making. Henry Pollock's performance against Castres was more than just a strong individual display. It was a glimpse into the qualities that could define his career. He is not only a talented rugby player but also a competitor who understands the psychological dimensions of the sport. For Brian Moore, that combination is enough to warrant passing on the mantle of rugby's chief agitator. Whether Pollock embraces that role fully remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: he is already making an impact today. As he continues to develop, both on and off the field, he has the potential to become one of the most talked about figures in the game, and if his recent performances are anything to go by, he may just thrive on the attention.